Silverstone is bringing a lot of upgrades as I covered throughout the week. Now we actually get some images, we get some ideas from Aston Martin, from Ferrari. Red Bull actually didn't bring anything. I mean, the car is already superior to everybody, so that's okay. We're fine with that. Let's talk about the rear wings first for every single team. Here's the Red Bull, Mercedes, Ferrari, and Alpine. Now everybody has a pretty similar rear wing to what they've been using. Mercedes brought nothing new. Everything is about a medium downforce. For this track, medium downforce is perfect. You need the DRS efficiency, you need some straight line speed, but going through cops and going through certain corners, especially in the S's section, maggots and Beckett's, you have to make sure that you have downforce to be able to actually compete with the others there. Yes, there are straights, but the cornering is a lot more important on this type of track. So every team has practically the same type of wing. I would say that the biggest, most downforce on any wing here is probably the Mercedes. That is because of their lack of downforce on their rear end of their car. Now, here's where it gets interesting. Aston Martin, Haas, McLaren, who seem to have brought something new, it seems the most low downforce to every other wing. I mean, if you look at the Aston Martin wing here, it looks like, what is that? That thing looks like it's a Monaco wing. And I'm going to explain as to what this wing is. It's not a new wing. It's actually something else. It's kind of interesting, and there are already rumors and reports going around. I wish we would be getting more images today. Like, Albert Fabrega has not been on it like he usually has. I would like to see what Aston Martin is planning here, but there are rumors, and I'm going to talk about some inside info that I think I have. So, okay, about this Aston Martin rear wing. This rear wing is actually the first rear wing that they used in 2022. And yes, I mean literally on their older spec of the 2022 Aston Martin, the AMRA, that beautiful, beautiful looking car. I have to mention how pretty that car is. I wish that concept worked, but like the Ferrari, that was a overcut concept, which is kind of funny nowadays. That rear wing that they have on the back there, that was used for that car, and they were the slowest car in a straight line. What I think is going on here is they brought a new rear wing spec, which will probably be planted onto Lance's car or Fernando's car first, and compare what from 2022 they had right and what they have right now in 2023. Now, I wonder what they're trying to do with bringing some fat wing like this. It's not necessarily the worst looking wing. I mean, I see some philosophies from Red Bull. I see some philosophies from what they're using right now. It's still pretty damn bulky. So I gotta see what their whole entire idea is between putting this type of rear wing on the car in a track that you do need medium downforce, but you don't want your whole car to be just kind of reliant on that. Now, the biggest issue with the AMR 23 currently that's happening is that the actual car itself, the way that it's performing on track, it's losing that kind of balance in its rear. It has a great rear end, but it's still a front limited car. These new tires that are coming in, quote by Perez even speaks about why actually these tires that are coming in will help cars that are really lacking on that front grip, which is the Aston Martin and the Ferrari. Those cars are missing that, so Ferrari and Aston Martin can actually benefit from this. Now I wonder what they've kind of analyzed from that test they've already taken with the tires. Will some type of wing like this actually work for them? I hope so. I actually like the look of the wing. I mean, I know that's a funny thing to mention, but hey, if the car looks cooler with this type of wing, I hope it works really well. I can't really analyze it right now because the wing from last year was pathetic. They were very, very slow. They actually had races with that AMR 22. Now that wasn't just on the wing, it was the actual just dragging that car. That they were slower than the F2 cars on straights. That is insanity, but hopefully that is not the case right now. Next thing is actually an image of the Ferrari floor. Now this isn't an upgrade, but it just shows that much more how much they're actually adopting the philosophy that Red Bull has with its curved Venturi tunnels, which I think is ridiculous if they can actually pick up on this. It's a good thing. If they're able to pick up on this and really push forward, I mean, when you look at the floor that the Ferrari has and you look at a Red Bull picture, the floor is almost like this. It's crazy how slanted it is, and you're looking here, pretty flat. It's not as slanted as Red Bull. The Red Bull floor is a crazy philosophy. Adrian Newey has just nailed it down to the floor. And I'm gonna pop up an image from the side view showing you how the Ferrari Venturi tunnels kind of compare to the RB19's Venturi tunnels. I mean, look at the just like magnificent beauty that Adrian Newey has made, really. And by the way, the images that Giorgio Piola puts up, They are magnificent. They're great to look at and just enjoyable to see. He drew this hand by hand to make these images for us to actually analyze them and look into them. I wanted to thank you guys very much for 5,000 subscribers. It genuinely means the world to me. I put up a community post, but I also wanted to say it in the video. You guys are the best and make this so much fun, and love that you guys are there for every single video, regardless of what I post. I always see comments. I always have people there. You guys always have an opinion. Whether it's not my opinion or yours, you guys always say something, and I love that. So thank you all so much. If you're not subscribed, please do. Let's keep this going. Now here is the wing, or I guess the huge update that Mercedes was talking about. Now, here's the thing. Big upgrades don't necessarily mean huge packages. This could be bringing a lot more performance than we actually think will be coming out of the car. A front wing changes the philosophy of airflow throughout the whole entire car. It's actually probably one of the most important pieces on the car, especially like a rear wing and a front wing. Those two pieces, if you don't have those right, clearly like Red Bull does have them right, the car won't perform exactly to how you want it to. Now, obviously the middle, the floor, the underfloor, that is all very important too, but if the front wing isn't actually making the airflow go to those parts as well, they're also lacking. It all starts from the beginning of the car. Now, what can I tell from this? What can I notice? First things first, if you compare it to their older spec of wing, their older spec of wing is a pretty big wing. I would say that it's one of the most draggiest wings on the grid. It definitely isn't what I would say optimal or efficient. It's lacking in those avenues, and it knows that it lacks really that drag towards its rear end, so it's very reliant on its front end. Now, they've definitely, from this image, and from what I can tell, they've definitely reduced the upwardness of its front wing, trying to reduce the amount of drag, or really the amount of downforce it's trying to produce, because they expect the rest of the car to pick up a lot more on that. The nose of the front wing, that is very much similar to the actual Aston Martin. Even the way they've kind of made the little separation between the whole entire wing and the parts of the wing that are right at the nose, that is very similar to Aston Martin. It's very, very, very similar to the Aston Martin car. Now, if you actually look at the Aston Martin car now, their front wing, it's more similar to the actual W14's front wing before this spec. So, I mean, it's all really dependent on how the team wants to drive their front wing. So yes, it does seem to be an upgrade. How much can this really add? I mean, the max, if they optimize it and it really does work how it should work, 2 to 3 tenths. That's what they're missing to actually catch the Red Bull on good tracks. Now, Silverstone should be a good track, so this should actually bring a pretty hefty margin to them. Next upgrade that I have is for actually McLaren. McLaren, this is their front wing spec. It does not look much different to what I remember. It's more similar to the AMR 23 spec, the first one before now their new front wing spec. That's what I would mostly compare it to. But they still have their front nose not going down towards the bottom, which I find very weird. Now, the whole silver chrome thing, I'm really not a fan of the livery that much. The more that I look at it, I wish it was more of it. I want to see how that looks like on the TV. The renders weren't that great, but it was also in dark lighting. When they were over there shooting those shots, it was also rainy, it was dreary. I want to see fully, like in the race, even with rain, I just want to see it on TV. I just want to see how much better it's going to look. On the car right now, it looks kind of okay. Looks like it just kind of blends in with carbon fiber. But all in all, the actual wing itself doesn't look like anything crazy that I've seen. It looks like it's going to promote some type of downforce, which they still need front limited downforce. Their rear end is actually pretty good. They need more front ended downforce. Silverstone's that type of track, so the front end is very important. This goes hand in hand with what Mercedes is trying to bring as well. The more front end you can get here, the better. Last thing I wanted to talk about was Ferrari. The thing that they've kind of brought that really hasn't been talked about, and I wonder how this is going to work. This image that I'm showing you right now is the actual beam wing. It's pretty ridiculous how tiny it is. They're trying to make it so they're actually getting a lot more straight line speed. I guess they expect a lot more out of their car when it comes to downforce. I mean, if you look at the rear wing, it's a pretty bulky one. Medium to high downforce is what I would say. But the car has been promoting a lot better airflow, a lot better in its cornering speed, and Charles Leclerc and Carlos Sainz have said in high speed, the car feels a lot better, a lot more like the F175. So I guess they're able to actually bring a beam wing that small, so they don't need as much drag or downforce back there to be able to make this car even heftier on its straight line speed. It already, in my opinion, has the best engine, so this could very much favor Ferrari, and I've already heard that Charles Leclerc, don't want to get it hyped up, is talking about taking it to Red Bull this race and seeing if they can win the race. So I like that. I like that they kind of are shooting for that goal. I want to see a big fight here. These are all the upgrades that we have as of right now. I'm going to try and cover them as much as I can up on the community page, post some pictures, talking about them. And that's the end of the video. Please leave a like, subscribe, it would mean the world, and peace.